To understand Josephine Wascher's passion and drive for teaching, one must first grasp the kind of motivation and inspiration that her father was to her. David Courtney was born in 1844 in Troy, Pennsylvania, and by the age of 5, he and his older sister were orphaned. When he turned 16, his belief in freedom and equality convinced his sister to allow him to fight for the North in the Civil War. He served as a Union soldier for 5 years. Most of that time was spent as a prisoner in the southern prison camp, Andersonville, which was notorious for its torture and high mortality rate of its inmates. Only a very small percentage of soldiers saw the inside of Andersonville prison and lived to tell about it. But in 1865, the North defeated the South. Slavery was abolished, and David beat the odds and was released from Andersonville. He continued working for the U.S. government as a cattleman in South Dakota, where he met his wife Anna, and they soon started a family with 6 children. Josephine Ann Courtney was born on August 16, 1892 in Custer, South Dakota, as the 4th of 6 kids. Her childhood days consisted of chores, farming, helping with the animals, and doing whatever her parents asked of her, which instilled a sense of unity and family often unmatched in today's times. She also loved reading and learning, which her father David made very important to all of his kids since he never got the opportunity at an education or much of a childhood. In fact, it was so important to him that when the snow was too thick for the children to make it to school, which was very often during the winter months, he and his horse alone would pull all of the kids on a big sled all the way to school and back each day, making sure they never missed a lesson. Her father's passion and determination was a big influence on Josephine to become a teacher upon her graduation from high school in 1910, by obtaining a state teaching certificate by passing a general teaching examination. She transferred the same spirit and dedication that her father had for her education over to the teaching philosophies and energy she had for her students. She taught 1st through 8th grade while being responsible for all janitorial duties for a salary of $45 per month at a couple of different schools in South Dakota before getting her college education in Indiana, allowing her to teach nationwide. Shortly after, her brothers started a bank in Lafayette and invited Josephine to come live and teach in Lafayette. So she took the 4-day train ride to make Lafayette her new home while teaching 3rd and 4th grades at the town school. In 1927, Josephine met Frank Wascher, a former World War I veteran and current farmer, and by 1932 they were married, eventually having a son named James. Over the next 30 years, she would teach every subject in every grade, and when the junior high and high school programs were moved to McMinnville, Josephine served as principal of the elementary school while teaching 5th grade. She worked as an administrator, teacher, and substitute until her retirement in 1970 at the age of 78 and after a 60-year career in education. She was dedicated to giving her students the best possible education that she could. She was disciplined enough to not allow any foolishness in her classroom, and she was devoted enough to take every single opportunity that she could to serve multiple generations of students in countless ways over the course of nearly her entire life. Along the way, instilling in her students not only an education, but a passion for life, the courage to stand up for what you believe in, and the toughness to never give up on your goals and dreams that her father and her life experiences had instilled in her. On October 28, 1980, the Lafayette school that she had dedicated so much of her life to was dedicated to her and renamed the Josephine Wascher Elementary School, thus culminating, remembering, and rewarding a lifelong career of selflessness. Since that time, the school continues to grow in enrollment, has been under the leadership of 7 different principals, and was built and remodeled onto a large plot of land which was once owned by Josephine Wascher herself before giving it to the school free of charge. Along with the school being dedicated in her honor, her teaching motto of "Count that day lost, in which you learn nothing," was also taken to heart within the dedication process and by countless of her students over the decades. Due to her body of work, and since she has written the code of ethics that all teachers at Josephine Wascher Elementary School still teach by today, one would think that from the walls of Andersonville to the halls of Washer, the guidance and direction that Josephine learned from her father and passed on to her students is anything but lost.